Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast, presented by Toyota and Bet365. Matthew Boyd gets out-dueled by MacKenzie Gore, just the third shutout of the season. We'll take a look at the missed opportunities and where this game may have gone wrong and much more. CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Let's go places and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at sign-up. 2-0 Nationals in the nation's capital as they beat the Cubs to take Game 2 of this series. Still a chance to win the series. This was absolutely a pitcher's duel. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, Kevin Wells, Sarah running the ones and twos. And hello to everybody in the live YouTube chat here at the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. As I like to say, tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a total stranger on the sidewalk. We appreciate it. And then also like it if you would, please.
Please like it.
Please like it. Cody, you want to tell everybody what you have to say for yourself?
I'm not wearing these shorts to work the rest of the season, man.
That's it. Unlucky shorts.
I'm not wearing these shorts the rest of the season, brother.
It's got nothing to do with the fit or the look. They're just unlucky.
Yeah.
Unlucky shorts. The thing is, I like the color. That's a nice blue.
These are nice.
They look good with the shoes, too,
Tommy
by the way.
Hilfiger. Yeah, I got I forget the name of these Jordan
Let's get a good
ones,
look at them because we're never going to see them again.
Yeah. I actually have had these shorts for a while. I just never really wore them to work. And then today I was like, even though it's disgusting, I was like, oh, it's a good shorts and hoodie weather. And then we witnessed this game, and I'm like, yep, not wearing these shorts here anymore.
Pitchers' duels are always fun until your pitcher gives up the first run.
Yeah.
I love pitchers' duels. I prefer that form of baseball. I know that it was a boring game overall.
Stressful, Kevin.
Right, and that's what makes the run so much more fun. You can really feel the anticipation when that first run is scored. Fortunately, the Cubs didn't have their first run scored tonight, so it happens.
I love a pitcher's duel. Tick tock, tick tock. This was the old Stuckey special.
It was the
up
Stuckey
until the
special.
2 runs that the Nationals scored. Now let's all be honest. The first inning, as I watched it, I thought to myself, last year this would have signified an absolute loss.
Yeah,
bases loaded against MacKenzie Gore. Nobody out, and you get 0 runs. Let's talk about that inning, because a year ago, I would have said game over. This year, I didn't give up hope because the offense has been so great, averaging almost 7 runs a game on the road. It just didn't happen, and Gore was so good. They had 2 opportunities, first inning, 9th inning. Everything else in the middle, he completely dominated. You know, and obviously Finnegan was the 9th, but like he was really good, and they missed their opportunity in that first inning, something seriously.
Yeah, I think in a game like this, and this is why I disagree with Kevin when it comes to what we're calling a pitcher's duel here. Like everything gets magnified when the offense doesn't score runs. Right? We did that every single night last season.
Been there, done that,
and it was deflating and it was frustrating, and I felt like I had to come on here on postgame and defend this guy and that guy who's actually been very good for the Cubs, but may have had a bad moment in a big moment of the game and might be the reason why they lost the game, right? But overall, the player is pretty good. I felt like I did that every single night last year, all right? So, to that point, Hap lead off single, Seiya Suzuki single, Carson Kelly single, bases loaded, no outs. Pete comes up, strikes out on like 3 or 4 pitches, right? Swanson strikes out, and then Hoerner hits a pop-up, a foul out.
Yeah,
fouled
out.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like, you're right. Last year, if that would have happened, it was like we're sitting here.
We could have gone to get ice cream.
We could have gone to get ice cream. Hell, we could have just started the post-game show, Luke. Thankfully, we haven't got to watch a lot of that this year, right?
You know why?
Because they've been scoring runs.
And you know what they missed tonight? Who they missed tonight?
Well, they missed Kyle Tucker until the 9th inning.
They really missed Kyle Tucker tonight. In these types of games, you miss a guy who can change the game with one swing, and it was awesome to see him come in the 9th. Talk about the electricity from Craig Counsell, the full force. Every game counts. I'm going to try to win this with my best bat. I loved that. I absolutely loved that. And it tells me he's healthy enough to face all the lefties they're going to face here in the next week, Luzardo and Skubal. But you missed Kyle Tucker tonight. He's been slamming lefties, batting over 300 against lefties to start the year. He's got 5 or 6 homers against lefties. I mean, he's the bat that you missed in a game where MacKenzie Gore, who looks like he's going to get his first All-Star selection this year, that's the type of player you're going to need to come through for you when you're struggling to score runs. And you're not going to score 10 runs a night.
No.
Well, it's not even just the possibility of him doing damage. You wouldn't have had to have Justin Turner and Michael Busch in the lineup today. You would have had one of them, right?
Exactly.
And then you wouldn't have had Carson Kelly in the 3 spot. Like, that's the
Who
importance.
had that on their bingo card in spring training? Carson Kelly's going to bat 3rd in some games for the Cubs this year, and you'll have the best offense in baseball.
Right. But that's the thing, though. Like, no matter how much I sit here and rave about PCA and the MVP season that it feels like he's having, this team it's like Kyle Tucker is still the guy at the top here. Like, he's the most proven guy. Maybe PCA makes more of an impact on the game because of his defense and his base running and all this stuff. But when it comes to scoring runs and what just puts this lineup on another level, Kyle Tucker in this lineup makes this team different. So thankfully, he's probably going to be in the lineup tomorrow because he got an at bat tonight. So that's good news for me. And also, it's not like you know how I made the Cubs Killers All Century graphic.
Yeah, quarter-century team.
The Cubs Killers all quarter-century team, like, as a joke.
It's a good list, by the way.
It was like all these guys from other teams that killed us, and then in the pitchers, it's just like some random dude from the Pirates, some random dude from the Marlins, some random dude from the Rockies, right? This MacKenzie Gore is not some random dude from the Nationals. This guy shoves. We were just talking about him last night. So it's not like you just got shoved into a wall by some no-name dude. This is a guy that, like, I see our guy Ron in the chat talking about, like, we need to go get this guy. And he's been pushing that all season, like you said last night.
And we're going to get to that in the next segment, by the way.
So this is a tough one. You had a chance in the 9th inning to perhaps tie it up because you had your best hitter at the plate. Didn't work out. But I think for sure, not getting any runs in that first inning, bases loaded, no outs. You didn't lose the game there, but in a game where MacKenzie Gore is pitching, you got to capitalize. You got Tarek Skubal on Friday in Detroit. If you're in that scenario, somehow, some way, you have to capitalize.
Yeah, I agree. And, it's
no doubt.
We'll talk more about Gore in just a bit. I feel bad for Matthew Boyd. Before we get to Boyd, I do have one question for you. It's kind of what Cody was saying. PCA is electric. He's probably the MVP or second in MVP right now. But if I get to a postseason game and the game is on the line, the player you still want at bat is Kyle Tucker.
Absolutely.
And that's why he's going to make more than $500 million, because he has such command of what's going on at the plate. PCA doesn't have that yet. PCA is living off of pure adrenaline and athletic ability right now, right? Like, Tucker is the fully formed major league bat, and that's the guy still today, no matter how great PCA ends up being this season, even if he wins the MVP, I would still want Kyle Tucker at the plate with my season on the line.
When he goes up to bat, he knows exactly the plan he's going to carry out depending on the first pitch that he sees, depending on what the guy in front of him sees, depending on the second pitch he sees in the at-bat. He has all of these algorithms worked out in his head. He's not up there just swinging the bat. Right. There's a plan. Hey, if I get down in the count here, I know this guy likes to throw here. I'm going to try to slap it the other way. Hey, I know I'm going to get a pitch down here because that's what this guy is, a smart, intellectual baseball player who goes up with a plan. PCA doesn't really go up with a plan yet. And that's okay.
Yeah, can you imagine when
that's
he does?
That's okay. Yeah, exactly.
Can
and that's coming.
If
that's
he
not
gets
a diss.
halfway to what to Tucker is. You know what I mean? Like, if his mind gets halfway to that.
And that's not a knock on PCA at all.
None of this is a knock on PCA. Like, yeah, some of his at-bats were bad. The 9th inning against Finnegan was bad. Like, to take that fastball and not swing, that's not great. He got caught guessing, basically. But we've seen how valuable he is. He's on pace for 10 WAR, and he's still showing that he needs to develop in certain parts of his game. That leads someone like me down a path of, like, absolute delusion of what this guy could be. If this is what he will always be, I'll take it. But when you see there are certain flaws in his game and remember that he's 23 years old, that's will give you some hope that, man, once this guy figures out how to really own the zone and cut down on that chase rate on balls outside the zone, the sky will be even higher than it already is.
And I will say this about Pete, too. Yeah, he struggled at the plate tonight against a really good lefty on lefty. That's tough for him. But there is not, I can't really remember a game in recent memory where he hasn't made a play somewhere on the field that's impacted the game. He kept Matthew Boyd's perfect game intact with an incredible catch. That reminded me of the Reed Johnson catch in that ballpark 10 years ago.
Where it looked like he was going to go head first diving into the wall.
But Reed Johnson had to dive, and Pete caught it on a fly while slamming into the left center wall. He had to run probably 100 yards to make that catch. That was an incredible play. So he impacts the game.
We should we should take a side-by-side of Reed Johnson's catch and PCA's catch and then compare which one's more impressive.
Still the best catch I've ever seen. Reed Johnson
Johnson's probably still more impressive,
You know what was
Reed Johnson ended up having to dive for it, but PCA's so fast he didn't have to dive, like you said.
Reed Johnson made some spectacular grabs.
Grand slam robbery of what's his name in
what
Milwaukee,
what I loved about PCA's grab is there's that cutout in the wall. Okay? He makes that catch right at the cutout where it gets deeper. He's running full speed. He's no more than a foot away from the wall, being like several feet shorter. As he's running towards it, I just mumbled, we got a guy there, but I'm thinking to myself, is that ball going to land short and he's going to go face first into that wall at 100 miles an hour? And thank goodness
he didn't.
It was just to the side.
Yeah.
It's either spectacular awareness of where he's at on the field by looking at something, or it's luck. I sure hope it's spectacular awareness, because I was watching that and I had to hold my breath for a second because he was running so hard and he was right at that cutout.
Did you see Ian Happ kind of cut in front here to play the carom?
Yeah.
Just in case it hit the it was really good backup by Happ. Happ saw Pete going full speed. He wasn't going to get in his way, so he cut in front. If Pete missed it, it would have hit the wall and bounced right to Happ. So, but somehow he caught it.
Is that his best grab? Off the top of my mind, it might be his best.
The
grab.
one in Los Angeles last year was pretty spectacular.
Robbery,
the home run robbery was pretty spectacular.
The one in the 9th inning against the Reds on Saturday had 10% probability. That one had an 850 expected batting average. This one tonight around 440. I think the one tonight in many ways is more impressive because how far he had to run, but
at full speed, he didn't slow down. Like
I mean, he was risking injury there in many ways, and again, somehow, some way, we turned the first segment into glazing PCA, despite the fact that he had no hits.
Every night.
We do it every night.
As I said, there's always something.
At some point, the people watching or listening are going to get mad at us for doing this, but it was an insane catch, and you are right, Kevin. It did impact the game, and the fact that it kept the perfect game going for Matt Boyd, and we're going to talk about Matt Boyd.
What do you want me to talk about? The 4 hits or the catch?
I mean,
right.
That's a good transition to Matthew Boyd, who had a great night tonight. The Cubs have only been shut out 3 times, like you said. The other 2 guys they've been shut out against, Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Freddie Peralta. Pretty good company for Matthew Boyd to go toe-to-toe with a guy who's going to be an all-star this year. I thought he was great. He's tied for the team lead in quality starts with Tyone. They both have 8. Pretty good money for Matthew Boyd through the first 2.5 months you've gotten out of him. He's been spectacular.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about Boyd here coming up in the next segment, what he meant to the team. We'll also talk about MacKenzie Gore. Is he a guy that Ron believes we should be going after? Yes, Ron, I know. I've seen it already.
We see it.
Peppering the chat for us.
Peppering.
We'll get to all that in a second. First, we do have a word from some of our great sponsors here at CHGO.
Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code CHGO365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Remember how last night I won like all my bets?
Yes.
Well, tonight I lost every single one of my bets. But I would not have wanted to lose all my bets on any other bet app than Bet365 because I do more winning on that app than I do any other one out there. They also have a early payout offer where if your team gets ahead by 5 runs, you win your bet immediately. You can do it on parlay selections too. Sometimes you win a parlay early before a game even ends. That's happened to me this year so far as well. So again, all you got to do is sign up and use code CHGO365. When you sign up, must be 21 plus. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling or referral services can be assessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, baseball fans, if you're thinking about upgrading your drive this season, Toyota's 2025 lineup is definitely worth the look. First up, it's the RAV4, versatile, reliable, and always ready for a little adventure. Then there's the Grand Highlander, plenty of room there, super comfortable, great for families and long road trips. Looking for efficiency, the Corolla's got you covered. Smart, stylish, and easy on gas. Need something a little bit tougher? How about the Tacoma, bringing you serious durability? And finally, the good old Camry. Sleek, fun to drive, and packed with performance. You could check out the full lineup at Toyota.com or stop by your local Chicagoland dealership. Toyota, let's go places. Become a CHGO diehard right now and upgrade your fandom today. Join our list of diehards and sickos, as we affectionately call them. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge, where we all hang out and talk Chicago sports, and so much more. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join us. We can't wait to connect with you on an even greater level.
I see in the chat, it's like every night now. Like, I just don't know how you can go from that loss and be mad just specifically at Justin Turner. Like, I get he hasn't been that great, but dude, they had bases loaded, no outs in the first inning, and you had Pete, Swanson, and Hoerner, and you couldn't do anything, dude. So I get Justin Turner has been frustrating. I think if we were playing this guy every single day, I would say yes, the DFA sign would be up in my hand, but he doesn't play every day, and he probably won't be in the lineup tomorrow because Tucker will be back. I think he's fine as a bench bat, situational hitter. That I'm not really going to change my mind on that. So,
no, and they're not getting rid of Justin Turner either.
No.
We've been over this. He is a culture locker room guy. The team loves him. He's going to be a big-time player for them, a big-time culture guy when they need him the most in the big games down the stretch and in October. He's not going anywhere.
I feel like after every loss, which thankfully we haven't done a lot of them, I feel like we find ourselves talking about Justin Turner. I'm like, he is not the reason they have lost games. Justin Turner is not the reason they lost tonight. No. Like that's just plain and simple. He's not the reason.
MacKenzie Gore is the reason they didn't win tonight. It's time for our Taking the Temp segment. Your trusted local experts, Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. You want heat? 7 innings, no runs, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Up until 1 out in the 9th inning, the bottom of the order was hitless. Hitless, nothing. 4 through 9, 0 until the 9th inning when they had Lorelli. Every hit, as Cody pointed out, they were the first 3 batters of the game, and then you had just a wasteland of Cubs offense. You got to give credit to the guy that was doing it too, MacKenzie Gore. And Ron, one of our diehard sickos, has been on here telling us, I believe since the offseason, he wanted MacKenzie Gore. Trade the whole farm for MacKenzie Gore. He always wants to trade the farm. Ron, I'm in your camp.
Listen, MacKenzie Gore's great.
We're in the camp. I don't think it's likely because I don't know why they'd give up that guy with control, no matter what you're throwing at him. But I would be willing to give up a lot for him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kevin.
So MacKenzie Gore's a little bit different from the other young pitchers who have been drafted high, whom we've talked about when I've been on the show, because he's got this year and 2 more years of arbitration still available. Now, the Nationals have a lot of young players under club control, some who are pre-arb, and they play in a really tough division, a division that's going to be very tough for the next 5 years or so, because the Braves have their core locked up for another 4 years. The Mets are going to spend like no other every year.
They're not a playoff team, period.
The Phillies.
And you got the Phillies.
Yeah, they're not a playoff
The Phillies
team
are
this year.
towards the end of their tenure. They're going to have to do some retooling this offseason. But where do the Nationals see their timeline, right? I'm not sure. And I don't think they really know either. All I know is this is the type of guy who is going to make his first All-Star appearance this year, like I've said a couple times on this show. And controllable young starting pitching, top-of-the-line starting pitching is so valuable. You have to get a return to blow you away to get a guy like this on your team. And for that reason, Jed Hoyer will say, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't think he's
Agreed.
going to be willing to meet the price that it would take to get MacKenzie Gore. And truth be told, I don't think the Nationals are making him available. If they think that they got a couple guys coming up in the minor leagues, they have the 2nd overall pick this year in the draft or the 1st overall pick. If they go pitcher, I don't know, you could, fast track a guy to the league. There's a lot of things to consider organizationally before trading a cornerstone top of the rotation pitcher like MacKenzie Gore, though.
Yeah, the only reason if I'm a GM running a team and I have someone like Skeens or MacKenzie Gore, and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't trade either of them. The only thing that would go into my head would be I can get the farm. We're not going to be competitive. We're not a playoff team the next couple of years. And pitchers get hurt so often that
That's
I
true.
might be willing to flip that super arm that's not going to really do me a ton of good right now for several good position players that can help me down the line. If I believe that I can get some pitching back that might help replace that, or multiple arms, whatever it might be. I'm just, because it's a pitcher, and I know that's super valuable, but the way the game is going, teams are chewing up and spitting out pitchers one after another. And so that's the only way I would ever even be entertained by the conversation.
Yeah, I get that. I think that whoever, let me start over. I think the Nationals will take calls.
Sure.
That doesn't mean that he's available.
No.
But I think they would take calls, and I would expect them to do their due diligence. And if a team is desperate, perhaps they would. Are the Cubs desperate in 2025? Are they legitimately desperate for a guy like MacKenzie Gore in 2025? It depends on how you look at it. A lot of fans ask me, like, are the Cubs going, quote unquote, all in because Kyle Tucker is a 1-year rental and
Right.
half the fan base doesn't think they're going to extend him? Or you can think like me and whether you want to think that's delusional or not, and think that they're going to find a way to pay Kyle Tucker if this season goes as well as it's been going the rest of the year. And then if they have any playoff success at all, if they do not pay Kyle Tucker, that would be such not only a slap in the face, but just a PR nightmare. It would be a slap into everyone's face that's watching this show. And also, it would be a bigger PR nightmare than it would be, just the slap in the face that it would feel like for me as a fan, right? You would have that, and then also you still have PCA moving forward. If you get that done, what I say in 2025, the Cubs are, like they have to do something that drastic. No, I don't. But that doesn't mean I don't want them to go and add to this team. I just think that based off what Kevin said, and I tend to agree, is the fact that he's 26?
Yeah, he's
with
26.
2 more years of control? Like, you're going to have to make a Juan Soto type trade for this guy. And what I mean by that, the trade that the Padres did to the Nationals, which the Nationals are building around that. They got CJ Abrams out. They got MacKenzie Gore out of that trade.
Yes.
They got James Wood out of that trade. Right? And then a few other guys that maybe they haven't completely figured it out, but 3 dudes, like James Wood's a stud. He's going to be a stud.
He'll be an all-star this year too.
And we just been glazing Gore for the last 24 hours now if you go back to yesterday. So you are going to have to give up a ton for a guy like that. And I don't feel like in 2025 they should be doing that yet. Now, but again, that doesn't mean that you don't find a way to add to this team and quote unquote go for it. You can go for it at a much cheaper price, in my opinion. To me, this is more about, if you want me to be mad about them not quote unquote going for it, if you want to call it that just takes me back to the offseason about how I wanted Max Fried, how I wanted them to trade for Jesus Luzardo. But that's a whole different conversation, right?
And like I've said about the Luzardo trade in the past, those bullets are still there to fire, and I think that they will. They are going to get a top-of-the-line pitcher at this deadline, or maybe before. We heard Bruce Levine say today, hey, maybe they're going to get it here
sooner rather than later.
In June. Why does it make sense? So if you look at the Cubs starting pitcher contracts, you have Justin Steele, who is 29. He's got arbitration eligible next year and the year after, 2 more years of club control. You have to plan for him to miss probably half of next season.
Yeah.
Into June, July.
Yeah.
So you have Justin
who knows
Steele.
What he's going to be like.
Exactly. You have Imanaga for a long time. You got a club option at the end of his deal. You got him for a while. He's good. Tyone enters the final year of his contract next year. So it would make sense to go out and get a young pitcher that you could sign and extend. And you're going to have some money off the books next year to pay for it. And in 2 years, when it kicks in or when his contract kicks in, that could make sense. It's all about if the Nationals are going to pick up the phone. Because I think if the Nationals were to say, hey, give us 2 top 100 guys and maybe 2 other guys like in your farm system, I think Jed Hoyer says yes to that. But if it's any more than that, I don't know. I have a hard time believing that he would do that for a younger pitcher. Now, if we're talking, ace, top 10 pitcher in baseball, if the Pirates, like I said, are dumb enough to make Paul Skeens available, if the A's want to make Mason Miller available, that's a different story, right? Like that. Yeah. That is something where Jed goes, 3 top 100 guys? Yeah, all right. I'm down.
Yes.
So if you look at the contracts, yes, MacKenzie Gore obviously fits where the Cubs are pitching-wise because they're going to need more arms next season. And like Brendan Miller pointed out to me on Thursday, they still need to find about 500-something innings from this starting rotation, and that would require every guy in this starting rotation to throw their max pitch limit or max inning limit this year. That's not going to happen. So you are going to make trades for starting pitchers. You're going to probably get 2 guys. Mm-hmm. He laid it all out in a really nice spreadsheet. Yeah. It was fascinating. I was like, you're really smart. Yeah.
That's what he does.
Yeah, it was great.
He's the graph man.
It was a great
graph.
It was a great look at it because, if you want to go out and get a young guy like Gore who doesn't have a lot of miles on his arm, listen, man, I'm all for it. I think the ball is in the Nationals' court, though, right? That's not how good organizations don't trade all-star caliber young controlled pitching. They
Which
don't
makes
do that.
the Pirates more likely because they're not a good organization.
Correct.
I guess
yes.
To round this conversation out, I want to emphasize that would I trade for MacKenzie Gore? Yeah, I would trade for MacKenzie Gore. I think we all have established
100%.
that.
Yeah.
Now the other question is what would you give away for MacKenzie Gore in this scenario though? Like someone asked about Mo Baller last night.
Yes.
Whether you believe he can be a catcher, I don't know. That's he's my favorite prospect. Do you want to give away Casey and Alcantara or one of them? I think the Cubs would prefer to keep one of them to have some sort of insurance.
If you're signing Tucker, absolutely, I can trade both of them.
Right, and I agree. And if the Cubs say or believe that they're going to find a way to do that, and on the inside, and they're just not letting people on the outside know, then go ahead, right?
Right.
Like
Jonathan Long.
I'm all for really moving anyone in this farm system that's like ready for a guy like MacKenzie Gore. I pretty much am. Mm-hmm. But my question is what are the Cubs thinking and how do they view this current window? Do they think that this is a short window, or do they feel like this can be a sustained success 5+ years? When you have a guy like Pete Carl Armstrong doing what he's doing, you're seeing the growth from Matt Shaw already here in his rookie year. You got all these other dudes that we've been talking about. You got these young pitchers and Ben Brown and Cade Horton. You right? Like I feel like it's more than just a 1-year thing here.
And listen, I hope they're viewing this year as, hey, we're really good. Let's go for this thing, because you're having a magical season from a lot of guys right now. That doesn't happen every year.
Right.
So I hope they're looking at it through the lens of, we need to capitalize.
Yeah.
And I
just think that
I have faith the Jet is.
They need to have some form of line, I think, in regards to someone like MacKenzie Gore.
Let's talk about it here after our sponsors here. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide, high-quality array of products. Sunnyside, it's got everything you need to elevate your summer. One-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu, over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary. It's got locations in the city all the way to the suburbs. If you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands we know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. And if you're a pro, we've got you covered. Over 100 strains on the menu and new ones added daily. We know you'll love Cresco and Florical's incredible quality and consistent products. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every single day. And the best part about it, 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Either use the promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 and up or Illinois medical card holders. And for existing users, use the promo code CHGO50 and you get 50% off one Cresco Labs brand item.
Just like your favorite team needs a home advantage, your home also needs a home flooring advantage. Empire Today can help you out. They have experts, absolute experts. We've been to the big box store. The person you're working with in that flooring department might have been selling toilets yesterday. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring. They'll give you precise measurements at your home, answer all your questions, clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing, plus schedule that installation as soon as the next day. So go ahead and schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners, a $350 discount when using the code CHGO, $350 off. CHGO restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/CHGO for full details. Back on CHGO Cubs here, we've been talking about a 2-0 loss to the Nationals, and MacKenzie Gore dominated. We'll get to Matthew Boyd, who had a perfect game going into the 6th inning. I want to ask you about one other guy, because we've talked a lot about, now, what would you give up for MacKenzie Gore, right? We all agree, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Some people in the chat don't want to give up Horton. I don't know how that necessarily helps you this season, because you need the pieces, but would I be willing to give that pitching piece back to them and say MacKenzie Gore is better than Horton, and then I wouldn't have to give up as much the other direction? But
see, that's the guy.
Or would you be willing to give up Ben Brown if they knocked on the door and said Ben Brown and Alcantara and yada yada yada?
I think I'm trading Ben Brown, trading Cade Horton. I don't think I'm trading Cade Horton. I don't think I'm doing. I think he would
certainly
be the one. He would be the one guy.
For one, you would do it.
Horton for straight up for
yeah, you would.
So you trade 6 years of Cade Horton for 2 years of MacKenzie Gore?
Yeah.
2.5.
2.5.
Personally,
and a better
I
chance
think
at winning now. Yes.
I don't know. That's a tough sell. I don't think organizationally that makes a lot of sense for the Cubs.
I'd do it,
because he is.
I'm old. I'd do it.
Right. And I mean, listen, there's a lot of reason to be all in on this year, because this team is the best team in the National League right now, according to their record and run differential.
I'm super excited by what I've seen from Horton. Don't
I
get
am
me
too,
wrong.
and I think that's why I think they'll be a little bit more conservative on the pitching side. But hey, if
they'll want some pitching back,
if that's what it takes, and Jed wants to push that button, I'm not gonna scream and cry from the rafters, but I'm gonna be a little bit. I'm gonna tense up a little bit if they trade Cade Horton, and I don't think they're gonna trade Cade Horton. By the way, don't clip that. Don't put that online. No. I think it'll be some outfield prospects, a couple of their top 100 guys down below, if conversations even escalate to that hypothetical situation.
What about Finnegan?
Yeah, I like him.
Finnegan is a more of a realistic conversation that I feel like is like I don't know what else to say about MacKenzie Gore at this point. Finnegan is a guy that, I mean, you raved about or
Well, I just said I would like to. I would like to
see
see him in the offseason. Yeah.
And what, he's making like $3 million. Like, I don't know why the Cubs weren't into him. Like, is there something in him that they just don't like? I don't. And I could be wrong on how much money he's making. I know he's not making a ton though.
Well, they said he'd given up a run in each of his last like 3 appearances. He almost gave up one today, but that'd be an arm that I'd like to add to the bullpen.
But I personally, if you're going to add him, I'm not adding him to be a closer. I'm adding him to just be high leverage guys in there.
1 year, $6 million for Finnegan after he was DFA.
My bad. But I believe he was non-tendered going into this offseason.
He was. Yeah.
Right? And then no one picked him up. And then the Nationals were like, fine, you want to come back? Okay.
I don't know why they wouldn't move him.
Right.
Yeah, that was a surprising non-move from Jed. I was expecting the Cubs to move on that. We saw Patrick Mooney and Saadav Sharma both say, hey, this is a guy the Cubs might kick the tires on. We read about it. Mm-hmm. I was surprised they didn't, I'll be honest. And his splitter was filthy tonight. That's a nice, high-end, high-velocity, high-leverage pitcher you would want. I mean, I think he will. He's a guy that will get traded. I can almost guarantee with where the Nationals are that he will go to a contending team. No doubt about it. I'd put a lot of money on that.
So I just want to emphasize, though, I don't want the Cubs to trade for him to be like the 9th inning guy.
No.
I think that it would be a nice add to go with what they have. And I think, I've said at least one bullpen arm. I think 2 would be great. 2 would be great. 1 would be good. Because I'm emphasizing starting pitching so much more in my head. But so I would take 1 bullpen arm. 2 would be great though. And we all know how injuries happen. A lot of things can change between now and the end of the end of July. So, guys could fall apart, guys could get hurt. Like, we could certainly be saying more than 1 bullpen arm in a month. So Finnegan, I mean, he almost blew it tonight, whatever. I still think that I can see why, like, he was out there in the 9th inning, though. And so when I'm thinking about high leverage innings, it's like, that's a guy that I wouldn't mind seeing out there.
Truth be told, if we think they're going to, this is what we all want. Mm-hmm. But if they add 2 starters, 2 relievers, and a bat, I'll fall over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
right?
Sure, you won't have anybody left in the farm system if that happens.
And it feels like the way they've exercised the waiver wire with these relievers, it feels like they're not going to overspend on a relief pitcher. That doesn't feel. It's never felt like Jed Hoyer's philosophy, right? It has never really felt like Craig Counsell's philosophy either. That Craig Counsell obviously did get a little lucky in Milwaukee with Tevin Williams and Josh Hader and those trades and those guys panning out the way that they did.
And some of the guys that they developed themselves, that kind of panned out.
Mm-hmm. Like, but there was consistent turnover from year to year. Mm-hmm. And look at the track record of Jed Hoyer with this bullpen right now. It seems like starting pitching will be the emphasis. And, I would expect them to go get that. But listen, man, if Finnegan he will be made available, and if the Cubs deem that a necessary ad, I say go for it. I don't think he's not going to cost you a top 100 guy. So
Ron says, how about Nate Pearson and others?
Oh God, yeah.
Dude, let me have some of the Kool-Aid that Ron's drinking tonight, man. Like, I like Nate Pearson still, as far as like a guy that was once a top 10 prospect in baseball, but like, he's still in Iowa and he was terrible. Like, he has no value right now. No. You're gonna for a guy now maybe for someone like Finnegan, maybe you might be able to send Pearson for him, but I don't think in terms for Gore. If he's talking about Finnegan, then I think that's not exactly that bad of a deal.
Not straight up though. You need a little more than Nate Pearson's been objectively horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous is he's been bad.
Yeah. I don't know what he's been in Iowa, but I mean it was so bad in April. I mean, a lot of the bullpen numbers, that first like 18 days or whatever of April, a lot of that was because of Nate Pearson and like Eli Morgan. And so since we tweeted those numbers out yesterday about how the bullpen has been since April 19th, that's largely been because Nate Pearson and Eli Morgan are not here.
Is KM trolling us? Trade Amaya, Hodge, and Pearson? Pearson, yes. How could you
Hodge.
trade? You can't trade Amaya, and you can't trade Hodge either.
You're not trading either one of those guys. Nope.
Yeah.
Not a.
You can't
good
trade
team.
Amaya right now. He's freaking hurt.
The Cubs are not in the conversation of addition while subtraction this year. That was last year's conversation. This team is much better. I also think
Sure, Wicks can go.
I also think the conversation about how Craig wants to use the bullpen too will come down to if they want to acquire another bullpen arm. Like they're going to start Drew Pomeranz tomorrow as an opener. So
did they say that? Did they announce that?
Yeah.
They
so
did?
Drew Pomeranz will start tomorrow. And so if you want to kind of continue to use him in a hybrid role, I think Craig likes the flexibility of, hey, if you want to be our late inning guys, you've still yet to give up a run in a Cubs uniform. Great. But also you're facing a left-handed heavy team. I think it makes a lot of sense to throw Pomeranz against a left-handed deep Nationals lineup. You know, if you run into that in the postseason, like a team like the Phillies, who has a lot of left-handed power bats, you know, where do you want to use these guys, right? I think they'll sit down in the war room as these trades and guys become available, and you want to talk about Gore, you want to talk about Finnegan. I think Counsell views them all as innings eaters and high leverage versus low leverage, and I enjoy that aspect of his managing a lot because it's not something the Cubs have had, you know, before. I think Craig views pitching in a different way, and it's fun. It's fun to watch him kind of mix and match guys. I'm
confused. If Drew Pomeranz is going to open tomorrow, does that mean Ben Brown's going to come in after him? Because I thought tomorrow would have been Colin Ray.
Yeah, where I saw was Ray, and I thought the opener would be. I didn't see that they'd announced that tomorrow.
And I mean,
I thought Ray was tomorrow, and then Friday's game against Scuba would have been the opener with Brown.
Yeah.
I saw Taylor McGregor.
Yeah, no, I just retweeted it. So I'm not saying that you lied or anything, Kevin. I'm not
a liar.
I'm just confused. Like, are they going to try an opener with Colin Ray now because he struggled his last couple starts?
I mean, back-to-back opener games?
He did struggle very much
well,
so.
We know, Sarah. You let us know.
Brown going back to just.
It could be Ben Brown afterwards, but let's think too. Like the Nationals are one of two
Brown.
teams in baseball who have started an all lefty lineup this year.
Yeah.
So maybe they wanted, and they have a bunch of switch hitters in there too. So if they want to start, if Pomeranz starts and goes and can give you 2 or 3 innings, maybe you just go straight to Thielbar after that. I don't know. You have the ability to do that because what you got from Matthew Boyd tonight, you got a fresh, rested bullpen.
I mean, they haven't used Pomeranz since Saturday, so he's rested. But I don't see him going out there for more than 1 inning. They've only used him in 1 inning spurts. He has not pitched multiple innings.
So you're looking at Ben Brown.
He used to be a starters, but like they're not stretching him out. He wouldn't be pitching today if they wanted to stretch him out, or pitching tomorrow if they wanted to stretch him out. So I think it's going to be 1 inning, and then they're going to someone. I just don't know who.
Ben Brown or Chris Flexen, probably one of the two.
Yeah, or
anybody
or
but
Ray.
Ray. Anybody but Ray.
I honestly think Ray will pitch tomorrow at some point.
He's on my list.
Yeah. It's been 2 bad outings, Sarah. Calm down.
As great as MacKenzie Gore was tonight, Matthew Boyd was pitch for pitch. He got screwed by the umpire when they had the perfect game going.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me the robots already. Yeah. And apparently that's a possibility now, the robots.
I saw that from The Athletic, yeah. The Athletic is reporting that Rob Manfred will go to the table when they get together in the offseason with the owners and teams and say, hey, we want to use the ABS system. And
R2-D2 behind home plate, C3PO at first.
I am curious. I didn't read the article through and through because we're watching the game, so I will read it tonight when I get home. But I am curious to see the rollout of that. And the other part of the story is it's likely to pass, was what the Athletic was reporting. Yeah. So if there is a season next year, pending a potential lockout, we'll see how that goes first. Let's get over that hurdle.
That's after 26.
Sorry, after 26, yeah.
So we'll have a season next year.
Yeah, so if we get to next year, when we will get to next year. So, Sorry.
If the Cubs win the World Series and then they go for defending champion,
the
then
ABS
we have to worry
system
about
will
it.
be in play.
Yes.
Yes, the ABS system will be in play. So, at least that's the report. And I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you guys. I can't wait. I think it's time, though.
Dude, we got to experience it. Well,
they're not going to take the umpire out from behind home plate. He'll still be there.
The ABS system is going to be a lot like, it'll be just like what we saw in spring training at certain parks. And also, if you've gone to any minor league games the last couple of years, went to Iowa a couple of years with our old pal Ryan Herrera, and we witnessed it for the first time. I think that this should have been implemented years ago, dude. I'm so tired of human umpires ruining my night.
Will the umpire union get it? Will they still be paid the same as a question?
No.
See, that might cause a kerfuffle.
After a quick break, I want to talk about Nico Hoerner, if you will. But first, a word from our sponsors. Finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and just start growing. It's more than your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, your investments, and goals. Don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. You got to keep track of your money. The older I get, the more I've started to realize that. How are all these deliveries coming to the door adding up? You know what I'm talking about. Whether it's food or something else, maybe it's the blue truck showing up, or maybe it's, your lunch, your dinner, your breakfast, constantly showing up, dropping off food. Got to keep track of it. With all your accounts, credit cards, and investments in one place, you'll always know where your money stands without the hassle. Track your spending, savings, investments effortlessly so you can focus on what matters most, making the biggest life goals a reality. Named Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025, top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use the code CHGO at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code CHGO.
Mando!
Nice.
You like that, Luke?
I do.
Mando whole body deodorant. What is it? It means safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, balls, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, and feet. Choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport even. All right, clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor level was a 5 out of 10. With Mando, the average grundle odor level is a 0 out of 10. That's math for you, folks. All right. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream 2 deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% of your starter pack. Use code CHGO at shopmando.com, SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
I must not be wearing enough of anything because there's a gnat that's just...
I was like, what are you swinging
There's
at?
a bit of gnat just hovering around my head for the last minute.
We were talking about the umpires real quick. You kind of look like an umpire tonight.
He
I know,
does, yeah, with all black.
So you okay with losing your job, or?
Yeah.
He's like, what's ever better for the game?
Yeah.
I know you want to talk about Nico, but KM mentioned something in the chat that I feel like we haven't touched on, and the play that wasn't reversed, the Seiya bloop hit.
That was not a hit.
Yeah.
Or that was not a catch, excuse me.
Or not a catch, right?
Not a catch. Have you seen the obvious shirts? Got the picture of it. Has the freeze frame of it. They posted it. We were hoodwinked and bamboozled.
Yeah. Yeah, he's super chat, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you,
Toyota Super Chat for $2. Opinion on the fly ball. That was a hit.
Okay, so after watching the replay so many times, I don't necessarily agree with this, but the only way that I could be convinced that it was a catch was that when the ball came down, it landed on the outer part of his glove and then just bounced into the where you hold it,
into the webbing.
The webbing. And that, I guess there wasn't enough evidence to show that it hit the ground. It was as close as it could be for it to be for it to either be a catch or in play. And I assume they called it an out, and that's why the Cubs challenged it. So I don't know.
I'm also assuming that they have more angles in New York, right, when they're looking at these things than we do on the broadcast, because they gave us 2 or 3 angles on the broadcast, and yeah, from some of them it looked like it may have hit a blade of grass, or and then the other angle looked like he caught it. So I'm assuming, and I hope for baseball's sake, they have other cameras in the park that they can point to look at that. But from the angle that we saw on the broadcast, yeah, it looked like the ball skimmed the grass. It looked like it should have been a hit.
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't the first time that we've sat here and talked about how the guys in New York can't even get instant replay, right?
Yeah, there's been a few
in every sport,
right? Well, I think in baseball, it's definitely intensified a lot more. I think in the NFL, sure, they're always talking about the refs because there's so few games, so everything matters so much more. Mm-hmm. But I also think that those things are a little bit more subjective than baseball. In baseball, it's been pretty clear, yes or no, most times.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing that's more subjective, I guess, based off umpires is like, guys being called safe because the catcher blocked home plate or something like that. I don't know how they reverse those calls, but I don't think we've seen one of those in a really long time. But like that's a thing that I think has happened before.
Dansby got bailed out on one earlier this year, a couple
like
games
the first
ago.
or second inning.
He sold it pretty good. Yeah, it was not a interference call. But you're right. There's more. There's not a lot of. There's more human error in football because it's more judgment calls, right? Yeah. Baseball's pretty cut and dry, right? Yeah. You catch it, you're out. Mm-hmm. Ball beats you the bag, you're out.
Right.
It's either in the strike zone or it's not.
Right. This particular
right now, we're not getting those calls, not the ABS. But
yeah, the balls and strikes completely different when it comes to instant replay. But yeah, this particular play, it didn't cost them the game. It would have been nice to get a hit. It would have been the first hit they'd have since the first inning if it landed.
Yeah, Barry Bonds was on deck. I mean,
it would have won me a bet. I can say on total bases, I needed one more hit.
I can see missing a call like that because it was really, really close. What bothers me is when a ball is 2 feet out of the zone and they think it's a strike.
Yeah,
I can't. That drives me crazy because it changes the whole bat, and it's like.
But to push back though, like if it goes to replay in New York, these guys they have to get those right, dude.
Yeah.
It looks incredibly bad on the brand of MLB if they cannot get that right. And I know Alex Cohen and Jim DeShays were surprised that they called it an out. So I don't think we're just sitting here being
it wasn't it was the wrong call.
Yeah, I think it was
the wrong call.
So
they showed in the broadcast that this was the day 2018 that they drafted Nico, correct?
Mm-hmm.
24th overall.
That's a pretty good pick. I think we said the other day, I said, like, when you go and make a first-round pick, there's absolutely no guarantee in baseball that first-round pick will ever even make it to the majors. There just isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you can go back through baseball. It's a total roll of the dice, a complete crapshoot.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think
when you draft Nico Hoerner, he may not end up being Ryan Sandberg. Okay,
mm-hmm.
Just because some guy's a first-round pick, don't expect the first-round pick to turn into a perennial all-star or a superstar player. But when you can get your first-round picks more often than not to hit and turn into a guy like Nico Hoerner, you're going to have a lot of success. That's the type of player any team will take.
Yeah. Yeah, to push back a little bit, I think the way the minor leagues and the MLB draft and all of that has changed so much just in the last 15 years. But to your point, at the same time, though, like you are right. It's not, there's a lot of guys who were taken number 1 overall that didn't turn out to be very good.
Yeah.
Mark Appel, right?
Yeah.
Who they could have, the Astros could have taken Chris Bryant instead. Right. So, Nico for a late first rounder, he's been awesome. And I'm going to start the propaganda for Nico Hoerner to be an all-star for the first time this year.
I saw that on the new YouTube page.
Began that
CHGO
yesterday.
Cubs.
or this morning. Started yesterday and continued it this morning.
Ben Zobrist saw that short too.
Ben Zobrist saw it, shared
Friend
it
of the
on
show.
shared it on his Instagram story. Shout out to my
Great
best
second
friend.
baseman, recognizes a great second baseman.
Yes. But yeah, he's no one really hit well for this team tonight, but he's been awesome for this team this year overall. And I truly think you're seeing the value of the type of player that he is with the bat. The defense has always been there. And he's turned out to be a really good player for this team. And I've said it a few times. I'll say it again. Like I feel bad that I engaged in Nico Hoerner trade conversations in the offseason. It's not that like I wanted to trade him. I was just like, well, we need to add a starter and somehow some
Power.
form of
Need to add
fashion,
some power.
But at the same time, like, yeah, he doesn't have any power, but you're really seeing what he is as a hitter or how valuable he can be as a hitter with a more deeper lineup like this. This is the first time in his career that he's like really showing that off because he's so good with runners on base. He just hits it where they're not, and he just doesn't do too much. And, he didn't do that in the first inning tonight, but more often than not, he's done that this year. And yeah, so to me, he belongs in the All-Star game this year.
Let's not forget the surgery he had on his arm.
I voted for Nico to be an All-Star, and I know that might be, there's a couple guys who are deserving of the All-Star bid at second base in the National League, and I do think that there is an argument for Ketel Marte. Obviously, there's an argument, Cody, plug your ears, for Brendan Donovan. But listen, man, Nico has been the best defensive second baseman in baseball this year. He's hitting over 300. He's towards the top of the NL in second base WAR leaderboard. He's up there. And I think he is deserving with where he's played the role on this Cubs team now. I know that his name's gonna get buried a little bit because of all the big names on the Cubs team, but he might not start the All-Star game. He might not make the All-Star team, but he has been the epitome of consistent, excellent, exactly what you expect out of a first-round pick, professional since the day he came up and played in Wrigley Field. He's been an absolutely wonderful player to watch, a guy who, hey, Nico, we need you to play shortstop this year. Almost wins a Gold Glove at shortstop. Hey, Nico, move back to second base. We gave Dansby Swanson $180 million. Oh, okay. I'll go back and play second base and win a Gold Glove. Professional, excellent baseball player. And I challenge anybody to go and look at the list of Cubs first-round picks. Since 2000, 2003, I'm looking like right now, is as far down I can go on this list. I'm looking at Schwarber, Bryant, Baez, I'm counting 3 All-Stars on a list of 25 first-round picks. Or 4 All-Stars, because Josh Donaldson's in there, drafted in 2007. So I'm looking at 4 All-Stars on that list.
Shout out Rich Horton.
So that goes to show you that you're right, Luke. Your point is first-round picks don't always hit. I think Nico, at some point in his career, if he stays healthy, he will get an All-Star bid. I hope it's this year for him. Yeah. But it's hard. You got to put in the work. Even though you're a first-round pick, you're not guaranteed anything, and you have to put in the work to get to the level of how good Nico Hoerner is.
And I think don't forget about Ian Happ. I know he's on all. Well, he did go to the All-Star game actually.
Ian Happ. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah. 5. Yes, so that would be 5.
The one thing about Nico, when people and not just us, but a lot of people are like, well, if they called about Nico Hoerner, I could do that because I could move Shaw to second and I could do some other things, but they got to find a third baseman, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. It was the conversations were started because the team had nobody that was feared in their lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And that has changed.
Yeah.
That has changed, and Nico can just be Nico now.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle Tucker can be a superstar, and PCA has blossomed into a superstar, and it changes everything for the Cubs offense. Everything.
Yep.
And so now guys like Dansby and Nico can just go ahead and be themselves and not feel the pressure to be the whole offense, which they were asked to do at some point, basically, by a fan base that it just wasn't fair. That's not who they are.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, I like John's comment. Get creative with how you refer to Missouri-based baseball players, please. No names needed in their praise. I agree. I like that. We should implement that on this podcast.
I'm looking at Barbara with a great pull. Mike Quaddy ruined Tyler Colvin.
Yeah, I should have put Tyler Colvin. I should have put Tyler
the Rockies
Colvin on the
ruined
Cubs
Tyler
Legends
Colvin.
graphic.
Yeah.
Rockies ruined.
Yeah.
And a shard of bat to his stomach, but other than that.
Nico Hoerner, all-star vote. Vote for him to be an all-star. He's the best defensive second baseman in all of baseball. Not National League, all of baseball. And he's hitting above 300. He's incredible with runners in scoring position. He's better than anyone else out there, at least in the National League, in my opinion. I don't care what the other guy playing second base in that gateway to hell in Missouri. So,
all right, Cubs lose 2-0. Corey and Brendan with your podcast after the game tomorrow. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast and our new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. Check out their podcast tomorrow in the post-game show. Maybe we'll jump in the chat too. Until then, thanks for watching and fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.